Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to discuss the 2025 Monte Carlo Masters. I'm going to preview the final between Musetti and Alcaraz, and I'm also going to talk about the semifinals. And I watched a lot of tennis this year, and the two matches that stand out as the most entertaining ones both featured Alex de Minaur. And in both matches, Alex had to fight against the crowd. The first match that I'm referring to took place in Miami, and the crowd was going absolutely crazy for Fonseca. And Alex was able to come through this one with some incredible tennis. In today's match against Musetti, the entire stadium was for Musetti, and Alex played a phenomenal match, but it was Musetti who ended up winning 7-6 in the third. See, Alex has been on an absolute rampage this week. He did lose the first set to Mahaj 6-3, but after losing that set, he played some of the best tennis of his career. Next two sets against Mahaj were 3-0. Medvedev, he beat 2-2. Dimitrov, 0-0. And I'm going to talk about the 0-0 in a little bit more detail today. You guys are wondering why I didn't talk about it more yesterday, but we'll touch upon that. And he made it into the semis of Monte Carlo. Huge result for Alex. And the first set against Musetti was 6-1. And I thought that the second set is going to be very similar. See, the thing about clay court tennis that you have to take into consideration is that obviously clay court specialists or players that have game styles that are suitable for clay courts, they are going to have a lot of success on that surface. However, when the conditions are wet and cold, now, of course, the clay court specialists are still going to do well, but these conditions give players that usually might not do that well on clay the chance to do quite well. Because what does a wet clay court do? Well, it reduces the height of the bounce. And now you see players, for example, like John Isner back in the day, and similar conditions at the French Open to take the all-time great Rafa Nadal to 5 sets. So these conditions were very suitable for Alex, and he played phenomenally well in the beginning. But I am so impressed with Musetti. What was happening in the first set is that Alex was extremely consistent, retrieving well, but he's also an aggressive player. I wouldn't categorize Alex as a purely defensive player. He's got a underrated serve, and he can make a lot of power from the baseline and take control of points. But he is not going to give you any free points. So when Musetti was playing aggressive in the first set, he would make shots, Alex would retrieve them, and eventually Musetti would overcook a ball and started making some mistakes. And I don't necessarily think that Musetti even played that poorly in that first set. However, in the second set, Alex's level did not drop off, but Musetti's level went way up. And I'm so impressed with the Musetti serve because he was dropping the absolute hammer today. The fastest serve was 134 miles an hour, an insane speed. His second serve is also excellent, got a lot of kick on it. And the backhand from Musetti has a lot of variety. He's able to slice the ball really well. And then, of course, he's got that beautiful one-hander that he can take across court, he can take down the line. And he was playing such clean tennis, such clutch tennis. And he was able to take that second set from de Minaur 6-4. And early in that third set, I actually thought that Alex started pressing a little too much and started making some errors because Musetti just simply wasn't missing that much. And Musetti got the break. He was up 5-3 in that third set, was serving for the match at 5-4, and he lost the serve. And I was sure that de Minaur was going to win the match when he broke Musetti's serve. But this is what I find so impressive about Musetti. He didn't let the chance that he had to put the match away on his own serve affect him. And he continued to play very solid, very positive body language. They got into a tiebreak, very entertaining rallies. And even here, very early on, I thought that Alex was going to take this match, but Musetti stayed with him and eventually won that third set tiebreak 7-4. So my respect for Alex de Minaur is off the charts. He is one of my favorite players to watch. I'm now seeing why he's ranking number 1 in the world in return stats. I always knew that he's a very good counterpuncher, and he's able to turn the power from the opponent into his own power. You can see that when he's returning. But one thing that was so impressive today, he was able to take serves that would have been service winners if he didn't try that hard and loop the ball back and make it land this close to the baseline. I remember Nadal doing this, especially off his backhand return back in the day. So his retrieving skills, his defensive skills are so good. And the fact that Musetti, after losing that first at 6-1, ended up turning this match around and winning 7-6 in the third. Unbelievably impressive performance. And again, in these conditions, a rainy, cold day in Monte Carlo, the fact that Musetti was able to stay steady and not overcook balls, because think how hard it is to hit a winner when you have Alex de Minaur on the other side, and then think how hard it is if you have Alex on the other side and plus the balls are wet and the conditions are slow. Super tough, and of course, a lot of players are going to start overcooking balls and making a lot of mistakes, but Musetti didn't. And let me touch upon the 6-0, 6-0 against Dimitrov from de Minaur in the quarterfinals real quick. I recorded a video yesterday and I had a whole long segment on the 6-0, 6-0. And I decided to delete that section of the video because I didn't want to open up a can of worms. I was talking about some of the things regarding amateur level and pro level that I've talked about enough, and it's a topic that nobody's talking about anymore. And I didn't want to bring that subject up again. But let me just tell you that while this was for sure Dimitrov's worst match on the ATP Tour, the worst guy to play when it comes to trying to collect games when you are at your worst would be Alex de Minaur, because he is a good server. He's not that easy to break, and he is the number one returner in the world right now. So it's going to be extremely difficult to win your serve against Alex. It's going to be difficult to break him, and it's going to be difficult to put him away because he retrieves really well, and you have to win the point 5 times. If somebody on the tour is going to give you a 6-0, 6-0, I think it's going to be de Minaur who's going to be able to do that the most. But in any case, one of those weird matches for Dimitrov, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back in the next tournament. Now, the second semifinal between Davidovich Fokina and Alcaraz was an interesting one because Davidovich Fokina is the number 2 player in Spain. And I'm sure that there was some additional pressure for Alcaraz. And in that second set, when Alcaraz was up 5-3 and it was deuce, I never heard Alcaraz scream that loud after winning a point. So he was pumped. He might have been a little bit tight in that first set, but it for sure adds an element of pressure when you play somebody from your own country. And Carlos Alcaraz has been starting cold in a couple of the matches this week. And while he didn't necessarily do that in today's match against Davidovich Fokina, he still wasn't quite at the top of his game. There was some sketchy service games. For example, the very first one, it was down 15-40, but he came through that. He did break serve. He was up 5-2. And that's where he got a little bit tight, and he blew 2 set points at 5-2 on Davidovich Fokina's serve, and then 1 set point on his own serve. And that match then went into a tiebreak, and Carlos Alcaraz now started playing a lot better and more solid. Played a great tiebreak, wins the first set 7-6. And I thought that Alcaraz played a very clean second set and won it 6-4. So throughout this whole week, I don't think we've seen Alcaraz's top level, and yet he is in a Masters 1000 final. So the big question tomorrow is whether Musetti can first of all play the same level that he's been playing all week. I found the quarterfinal win against Tsitsipas super impressive because we know that Tsitsipas loves Monte Carlo. He won it 3 times, and Tsitsipas won that first set very comfortably, but Musetti played amazing tennis. So, of course, I just talked about how well he played against Alex de Minaur. So will he be able to access that type of tennis in the final against tomorrow? That's a big question mark because this is his first Masters 1000 final. And Carlos Alcaraz already has 4 Grand Slams. He is likely to find some of his best tennis when it matters the most, because in my opinion, you cannot be a Grand Slam champion unless you have the ability to do that. At the most important stage, having the ability to find your best tennis. And that's what the best players do. And I do believe that Alcaraz will do that. So if Musetti can play his best tennis, this might be a tricky match because Musetti is an exceptional clay court player. But if Musetti comes out a little shaky, a little bit tight, and Alcaraz plays a lot cleaner, stronger than he's been playing all week, I think this could easily be a straight set final for Alcaraz. Now, the 2025 clay court season is going to be one to remember because if Carlos continues to play like this, let's say he wins tomorrow against Musetti. I don't know if he's going to play Barcelona, but let's say he does and he wins Barcelona. He goes into Madrid, again, home court advantage. Let's say he does well in Madrid, maybe wins that. He goes in Rafa mode and starts cleaning up all the tournaments on clay. And now he comes to Rome, full of confidence, and Sinner comes back. And Sinner has been playing a lot better than Carlos Alcaraz. There's absolutely no doubt about that. More consistent, less ups and downs. And it's going to be so interesting to see whether Sinner can take out Carlos Alcaraz on clay. So we got a lot to look forward to, but we got to concentrate on tomorrow. Musetti, Alcaraz, Monte Carlo final. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to win that one and with which score. I'll see you guys tomorrow.